Can you see my buddy Finn? I haven't decided where he's actually going yet. He's a new addition to the family. It's hot in here, guys. I might be wilting by the end of this because I only have the ceiling fan on. And my windows are closed. That's never gonna do. Hang on 1 second. I'm so prepared for podcasting. So prepared. Anyway, welcome to the Freakish Lemon video podcast. I am your host, the Freakish Lemon. I go by Adrian and I use masculine pronouns. This is a crafty type things podcast coming to you from the Northwest Hills of Connecticut. Show notes for this episode and all episodes will be over at my website at freakishlemon.com, and you can follow me as Freakish Lemon all the fun places, including Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Ravelry, Etsy. I think that's all the places, generally. And all the links to the main places will be in the down bar below if you're watching this on YouTube, and around if you're watching this somewhere else. Already the hair is wilting. Don't wilt, hair. I gotta cut this soon. It's getting way too long back here. Anyway, yes. Oh, have the intro written down here in front of me, but welcome to any new viewers, and welcome back any returning viewers. Thanks for coming back. I know this is a mess. Hey, maybe not start the podcast by putting down your podcast. There's a thought. Ugh. I'm so good at podcasting. Anyway, like I was saying, it's July. Today is Monday, July 11th, which is unusual for me to be filming on a Monday, because usually I just kind of veg right out after work. Because work is tiring. But I didn't film a podcast episode yesterday, and I completely meant to, and then that didn't happen. Because I got up, ate breakfast, started moving, and a fanfic idea wouldn't let me leave my laptop. So I spent all of yesterday, except for the time that I spent outside with the dog, writing. I've scrapped a whole chunk of whatever I wrote yesterday because I am out of practice, and I'm still not quite sure where this story is going, but it's very interesting to be actually sitting down and writing fanfic again. I think I talked about it a little bit here before because I was starting a Finn from Star Wars fanfic, but that's going nowhere. So now I have another one that might go nowhere. The first part of it is up on my Tumblr if you want to go read it. I can't guarantee it's worth looking at, but if you are fanfic inclined, it is available on my Tumblr. Yeah, it just kind of sucked me in yesterday. It's crazy. Anyway, since my last episode, it was the 4th of July. Like I said, this is coming to you from the Northwest Hills of Connecticut, which is a part of the United States of America. And as you saw from the intro, that's how we do fireworks here. We're a small town. I don't think our town even does fireworks. I know a lot of towns and cities, like, they pick a day and a time and they sponsor a fireworks display. What I showed you was a bunch of private citizens spending thousands of dollars on explosives and shooting them out over a little man-made lake down the road from me. It is a fantastic tradition. It used to be just one dude who did it. Now there's about 5 of them who all do it. it's a one-upmanship competition, which is delightful for everyone. And because of the way 4th of July fell this year, because it was on a Monday, they did well, let's be real, these are people who have explosives, who buy explosives for fun, so really playing around with the fireworks started the week before the 4th of July, so every couple of nights you'd hear a few fireworks go off, but there were a few of them on Saturday. They did sort of a mild to medium display on Sunday, and then the big day was Monday. Yeah. Like I said, this lake is, about a 2-minute walk from my house, so actually my friend, who lives in Pennsylvania now, came up, she grew up with me down the street, and she came up, decided on a whim to come up for about a day and a half, so she came over and we walked down and we watched the fireworks and got eaten by bugs, which is always a good time. And it was good to see her, so that was nice. I actually did a social interaction this time, you guys. I can tell you about a social interaction I had with another human being. That's an accomplishment for me. Super fun. But, yes. Played with the dogs. Because Gabby brought up Iron and Audrey on Saturday. Yep, playing with dogs. The rabbits in our yard are super excited about the weather, apparently. And also are super excited that my dog doesn't always chase them. And when she does chase them, she stops as soon as she gets to the bushes. She doesn't actually pursue them past the bushes. So I've seen more rabbits in our yard this year than ever before. There's one that always comes out and hangs out around the backyard and waits for her, and then she chases him, or her, chases it up the hill. And last weekend there were a pair of adolescent rabbits wrestling in the grass next to our driveway, which is awfully forward of them, but they were having so much fun tussling in the dirt. And then a few days ago, there was a rabbit just outside my window, right over here, just hanging out by the front door, chomping on grass, chilling, not even bothered about the fact that there is a house full of humans and a canine here. They're just hanging out. And in terms of vegetation, the vegetation is in full swing here. All of the wildflowers and weeds are like taller than me now in our overgrown garden that we decided not to plant this year. The raspberries are all over the place. If you've never grown raspberries, or you live in an area where raspberries aren't, taking over your life, the raspberry bushes are very hard to eradicate, and they like to spread. They start out by just spreading like one little thorny tendril, like it'll be out a foot further than all the rest of them, but eventually, if you don't mow them down continuously or dig them up, they just spread. So we have them in like all available corners of our yard where you can't get a lawnmower. Because we have one of those ride-on lawnmowers that just plows over things. And we have a patch in the back that we keep as a patch. Although every few years we'll tear down huge chunks of it because it just gets so thick and brambly. It's crazy. But that's fun because we, gather a couple of cookie sheets worth of raspberries, freeze them, or make jam, or both. So we have homegrown raspberries forever. And then when we've hit our quota, we just go out and eat them all the time, which is great. And our crazy grapevines I'm noticing them more this year than I have in years past. We've always had crazy grapevines. When we bought this house a million years ago, there were some grapevines in the yard that were like domesticated grapes. The big purple grapes with the seeds still in. And we would eat those sometimes, but those seeds are a pain. But we eventually got rid of those grapevines, just because they were in the way. But we have wild grapes all over the place. They are up in the trees and in the bushes. They cover everything. We don't actually do anything with them, but I don't know, maybe I'm just out with the dog more this year than I have been in years past, because I just see them everywhere. Like, you can follow lines of grapevines from the ground up into the trees. Way out. And they're starting to form grapes. I think I already said that we don't do anything with them, but they are starting to form grapes, which means we're going to have a lot more birds in our yard than we already do. We have a ton of birds because of the raspberries. They love raspberries. But we're going to have a crazy ton of birds. And this camera actually has like a bird photography feature. I'm going to see if I can get some photos of some birds this summer. Take advantage of my weird wildlife backyard. Get some bird photos. Yeah. I forgot to introduce that as life stuff, which is the first non-crafting portion of this podcast. That ended up being longer than I thought it would be. So let's wrap that up and actually move on to the crafty things, which is like the point of this podcast. So let's start with knitting stuff. I have not done much knitting. I know I said I was going to focus on working on the sweater, but I didn't really work that much on the sweater. This is the Redford sweater by Julie Hoover in Yarn Place Basic Fingering Wool in gray, and you can see my little corgi progress keeper. I've done about probably less than that. Because I don't think I moved it after the last podcast, so I probably did from here up. So about 1.5 inches. This is in the Avengers bag that I made myself. Start a new sentence, because I didn't make that using US 1s. I'm making the sweater using US 1 2.25mm Xiaogu circulars. So I haven't been doing that much on the sweater because of other things that have taken over my brain. I did do some work on my Cozy Memories blanket, though. It's been a while. I added these squares. This is, I forgot what, but I used it for a pair of socks. This is the mini from Helen Stewart that she gave out at our New York Knit Nerds meetup. This is my own hand-dyed speckle from the Great Dye Experiment. And then I started in my Gnome Acres Avengers mini skeins. A couple years ago, Gnome Acres had an Avengers mini skein set So I'm putting them all together. So we've got Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow. Yeah. Hawkeye, and then I have a couple more to put in. I also started crocheting in my ends. Yay! Since this blanket has reached the width that it's going to do, I'm not weaving them in the traditional way. I'm going along these, pickup bumps, and they look a little funny on this side because I don't know how I was picking up the stitches over there, but it was different from the entire rest of the blanket. But I am doing a slip stitch crochet along those bumps and weaving in the ends that way. So all the ends get tucked up and I get these nice sturdy support structures for this blanket, because this is going to be a big blanket and the weight of it will be immense for fingering weight yarn. So I've done 2 rows of the black, and as I finish going across the rows I will crochet in my ends, and then once I've reached the height that I want I'll go up vertically too, so that it's stabilized in all directions, and I'll do a crochet border in the black as well. So more than I anticipated doing with this blanket. But I'm pleased with the progress. Let me just roll this back up so I can get it out of the way. And that's in a Lion brand tote bag that I have. My movie vanilla socks. I have worked on them, even though I haven't gone to the movies since X-Men, I think. But it's about an inch of black stuck in it, so it's not that exciting. I'll show you more of those socks when, they're worth looking at. I haven't done any more on my worsted weight Cozy Memories blanket. That's going to be an off and on project. Probably more so than my fingering weight Cozy Memories blanket, because I use less worsted weight yarn typically. I will be using a lot more worsted weight yarn in the future, but currently most of my projects are fingering weight, and mini skein swaps are a thing for fingering weight yarns, not so much for worsted weight yarns. Next are my R2-D2 socks, which is in my Star Wars bag from Jessalou. And I have turned the heels on both socks. There's a heel using the Fish Lips Kiss heel. And I have done a big chunk of the foot on this one. This is the R2-D2 mustache yarn 75-25 superwash merino nylon self-striping. Knitting these on US 0 2mm Chiaogu DPNs, and they're just a plain vanilla sock with a 1x1 twisted rib cuff. Top down, Fish Lips Kiss heel. Not that exciting construction-wise, but I just love her Star Wars yarn. I'm so excited to play with the other yarns. So excited. It's absurd how excited I am. What else have I worked on? I've done a little bit of work on my Dangling Conversation shawl. That's a pattern by Mindy Ross, and I'm knitting that out of handspun that I made using Bitsy Knits, The Case of the Silent Six, as a single. gotten about that far. I'm starting to get into orangey red. We're starting to see some color change happening. I think it's a little bit different in tone. And it's not showing up on camera that well, but with my eyeballs I can see it's starting to get a little bit different color in tone. I don't know if that made sense just now. We're gonna roll with it. These are on US 2.75 millimeter Boy aluminum interchangeables, and I love this pattern, but I only worked on it for a couple episodes of Clone Wars this past weekend, I think, just to have something else to do with my hands for like 10 seconds. So let's move on to crochet stuff, which is where I'm actually dedicating my time these days. I haven't done any granny squares, but I have been working almost exclusively on the backpack I've been working on. This is in my yarn chicken tote bag from Gusler Designs. This is looking less and less like the roll top backpack, which is a pattern by Sarah Dudek, but I'm primarily using that pattern for the actual construction of the straps and the roll top and all that part. So here is where I am. Starting to look like a container. Ideally, this will be done in time for Stitches Midwest, which is the first weekend in August. Ideally. I'm hoping I can get it done. This is being crocheted in Lion Brand Fisherman Wool Brown, and I'm using a USF 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. It's not very exciting to look at, but there's an awful lot of crocheting going into this project. Haven't done any Tunisian mitered squares. I have started another new blanket, but I haven't gotten very far. I just wanted to have it started and ready to go. This is the Lazy Waves blanket by Dedri Uys, UYS, according to my copy paste. Hope that's right. I'm using worsted weight acrylic yarns that I have, and I did kind of buy some more, but that's the way with blankets. You have to buy more to get rid of what you have. It's the unfortunate truth and never-ending cycle of crochet blankets. But again, I'm using the USI 5.5 millimeter rosewood hook, and so far I like how this works. It's very simple and easy to memorize, if you even know how to read crochet a little bit. But I started this and then had a moment of panic and was like, oh my god, I need to work on the backpack. So not much of that has gotten done at all. But that's okay. Crochet blankets take a while sometimes. And that's all I have for crochet. I feel like I'm all over the place, guys. I feel like I'm all over the place. So we're gonna move on to fiber stuff, which is full of Sith and spin. Gonna use that intro every time, guys. Every time. It just makes me... It just makes me chuckle inside the very depths of my soul. Sith and Spin is a casual spin-along that I'm hosting from now until probably September, October, I don't know. It's about 3 months. And the only thing you need to do in order to enter is spin while reading, watching, or listening to something that involves Sith, which includes 90% of the Star Wars entertainment out there. Star Wars movies, TV shows, tons of audiobooks, watching Let's Plays of video games. If you can spin and play video games that have Sith in them at the same time, good on ya. Also, it counts. Fan films, fan fiction, all those things count. All you have to do is post a photo in the thread of what you're working on and tell us about the Sith entertainment that you have been reading, listening, watching to. Watching to? Reading, listening to, watching. All of the verbs that you can use to partake in entertainment with Sith in them. Yes. There will be prizes. Yes, there will be. I've been completely absorbed in my own Sith and spin world. It's just been Sith and spinning forever. Or at least for the past 2.5 weeks, or whatever it is. Let me first show you some fiber prep. I have some bats that I've fooled around with that I am probably 99% sure I'm going to put up as prizes. One of them I'm a little iffy on, but 2 of them are definitely going to be prizes. And the first one is a bat that I'm calling Ventress. This is Ventress. Asajj Ventress, if you don't know, is the Sith apprentice to Count Dooku, Lord Tyrannus, in the Clone Wars TV show. She's very pale. She has like purple tattoos on her face and head. She's bald. She dual wields lightsabers, and she's super cool. And flirts with Obi-Wan when they fight. It's great. This bat is made using Shetland, light green and olive green. My voice gave out in the middle there. Light green and olive green superwash mill ends, purple Cotswold locks, and silver Angelina. You can tell this is the first one that I made during my playing around, because the Angelina is kind of everywhere. But here is the bat. It's about 1.3 ounces. The green's a little hard to see. It's a very pale green, because she has some very, like the shading on her face is a very pale green. But that will be super cool. Second definite prize is a bat that I'm calling Night Brothers. This is made of yellow superwash mill ends, red merino, black merino, golden yellow milk silk, and red silk thrum fibers. And the Night Brothers are a group of Zabrak males from the planet of Dathomir, which is primarily under the governance of the Night Sisters, who are basically Dark Force witches. The Night Brothers are Zabrak males who are enslaved to them, are like pay them fealty. I don't know exactly that arrangement, but Darth Maul is from that tribe of people, and he has a brother. I don't know if they're actually genetically brothers or if that was a manipulation on Mother Talzin's part, but he has a brother named Savage Opress who had a brother named Faral. All their names are basically just negative connotation words. Maul, Savage, Feral. Their last name is Oppress. Oh, it's delightful. But Savage also had the black tattoos, but he had yellow skin. So we've got Savage and Maul, who are basically the two main ones. And sorry, there's silver sparkle attached to everything. So that is up as a definite prize for Sith and Spin. And the one I'm not too sure about, I might redo this one or something different. I don't know. I've got more supplies incoming to play with. That was about 1.5 ounces. I think the most I can get onto my drum carder comfortably is about 1.5 ounces. This is bat number 3. This one I called Sith Holocron. And this is made with black New Zealand Perendale, golden yellow milk silk, copper flash, silver angelina, gold angelina, and red silk throne. And the reason this might end up just as my personal stash is that these red silk throne bits did not grab into the wool the way I had hoped they would. So I might do something different, but this is what it looks like for now. The gold and everything is kind of sandwiched in, like you can see a little bit of it peeking out there. And Sith holocrons are one of the holocrons are one of the main ways that Force users pass on their teachings, because they're data crystals that hold a lot of information at once. Sith holocrons are pyramid-shaped, they're black, and they tend to glow red and a little bit of gold on the inside. So that's why I kind of sandwiched it like that, but I might be redoing this one. But there will definitely be 3, at least, prizes for Sith and Spin. I'm just not sure about the holocron one. And then I made myself some bats, because I couldn't help it, and I just needed them in my life. These are my Darth Venge bats. Let me show you their beauty. They're so beautiful. I can't stand it. Look at that. That's 1. That's 2. This one's slightly different, just because of the way the fiber hooks on when you're playing around on the drum carder. These are made with black New Zealand Perendale, golden yellow milk silk, copper flash, orange Cotswold locks, and red silk thrums, and together these are about 2.5 ounces. Darth Venge is a fanfiction character made up by her username on Archive of Our Own, which is a fanfiction archive, is Flamethrower. Her Tumblr is Dead Cat with a Flamethrower. Darth Venge is Obi-Wan as the Sith Lord. In her series Re-Entry, during the Otherwen, events transpire that cause Obi-Wan to fall to the dark side, and he is named Darth Venge. And he is a delight. He is a sarcastic, biting, caustic, grumpy Sith Lord, who is not actually evil, just dark. I am a fan of Darth Venge. I really am. He's just so entertaining. And then because it's been Sith and spin, I have been spending a lot of time spinning. Because it's just in my head that I need to be spinning constantly. So let me show you a whole bunch of things that I've finished. Some of these things are actually finished, washed, measured, ready to input all their information into my project pages on Ravelry. Some of these are just spun and plied, and I still need to wash, set, do all those things. So, let me show you the first thing. These are not in order, but there's a lot of them. So the first thing on my list is this skein of handspun. This is 1 ply is of the local Connecticut wool bats with the kind of blue turquoise silk that I showed, I think, last episode. I did 1 ply of that, and I did the other ply from a Mawata silk hanky that I picked up at the New England Fiber Festival this past year. And it's blown out a little bit. This right here is like true to color. It's a very dark brown. And I'm thrilled that this dyed hanky goes with this brown so well. And matches the silk noil I had in there. Because the actual blue, the bright blue parts of the hanky are like the same color as the noil. That's super cool. That was a nice quick spin. It's softened up a lot with washing, this local Connecticut wool. It's not breed-specific wool. I think it's just whatever this mill in Connecticut happens to get. But I do like how this feels. It's pretty light and airy, the wool. Like you can see there's a lot of air in it. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. My head's in the way. Like there's a lot of air in that wool, which makes for a very light spin. But I'm pleased with how this turns out. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm pleased with how it turned out. And then I had a ton of that silk hanky left, and nothing that I wanted to ply it with again. So I just chain plied it back on itself, which is an experience. Spinning the silk hanky, it's very hard to draft because silk is just one long spider web, basically. But you very rarely have to worry about your single breaking on you. And it doesn't really require a lot of twist to be cohesive, which was really interesting. So I chain plied it back on itself, and this is the yarn it produced. Let me get that scanned up so you can see it. And it was really easy to... I'm not in focus. Hello? Okay. And it was really easy to spin these singles really small because you only needed a few strands to make a single. It's such a strong fiber that it doesn't snap even if you're there trying to draft forever. It's not my favorite thing to spin, but if the project was right, I wouldn't say no to doing it again. And then I started in on a braid of Polworth that I got from 222 Yeah, the company's called 222 Handspun. There wasn't a colorway name on the tag. And I don't remember if I got this at the farmer's market or where I got it from, but I did 2 different spins with it. The first thing I did was I tried a thick and thin. And that's what this looks like. I don't like spinning thick and thin. I did not find it enjoyable. I found it very stressful, and I found setting this yarn by the word has gone from my mind, but where you dunk your skein in hot water, then cold water, and hot water and cold water, so it kind of felts a little bit. It was not fun. I think at some points I did successfully do an even thick and thin, but I didn't like it very much. This skein will probably just be knit up into a swatch so that I have a pretty thick and thin swatch. I'm going to put it on the wall because it wasn't fun to do, and I don't know if it's going to be any fun to knit with. But I've seen swatches of thick and thin, and I like how they look. So hopefully I can get a swatch that I like the look of. And I'll just put it on my wall up in the craft room. So after I finished this, I spun a single of the rest of it and chain plied it. Which is something I much prefer for this fiber. Maybe it was just the fiber with not liking the thick and thin, because it was a pretty long fiber, but I much prefer this chain plied, worsted spun, bouncy type of yarn out of this fiber. Yep. Learned something new, which is what that was for. I also, it's not over yet, folks. I also started learning how to tailspin. I did not actually consult my craftsy class before starting, so the technique is kind of haphazard and half self-taught and ridiculous, but I really like what I ended up with. So this is the first one I did. This is Leicester long wool locks, and this is fully set and everything, ready to be used. I just haven't no, I do have a tag for it, so I did measure it. I just don't remember how much. It's not very much yardage. But I love the look of all the little curlicues sticking out. Then I also did a skein of undyed Cotswold locks. This is not completely finished. I do have to wash and set it and everything, but that's what this looks like. I really like how this looks. And these will be, at least one of them will be, incorporated into a pair of those tailspun boot toppers. I don't know if you guys have seen them. I'll try to remember to put a link in my show notes, but if I don't put a link in the show notes, just if you look for boot toppers, tailspun, that will come up, because I want to have those for the Renaissance Fair to put at the top of my ridiculous Renaissance Fair boots. I think that would be super cool. Oops. Little piece of a lock. It's too short to live. So yes. it's a little bit of a stressful spin for me, just because of how much grab some locks, manipulate them, grab some locks, as opposed to, you know, taking a huge chunk of roving or a bat or whatever and just spinning straight from it. But I think with practice, I'll get a lot better at it. But it's super fun to play around with, which is exciting. And then I made those bats of local Connecticut wool again with all the different colors that Gabby had dyed when she was playing around with making roll eggs out of it. And I had said I was going to incorporate more white into it, which I did. And then I spun it up because it looked really ugly in the bat form. And it doesn't look much prettier as a skein. It's looking prettier on camera than it does in real life. It's just kind of like a tannish brown when you're far away, and then you get close and you can see all these little light blues and greens and reds in it. It doesn't look that good. But it was an experiment. I will probably bring this down to Gabby's apartment and over-dye it at some point. Because it just didn't turn out very pleasing to me at all. The spin was good. I liked spinning it. And I liked the yarn it produced, weight, and the hand and all that. It's just pretty ugly. And then I spun up my 2 bats of the Classy Squid Fiber Company bark in a 2-ply, and I was not disappointed. This is beautiful fiber, and I highly encourage you, if you are a spinner, to go to the Classy Squid Fiber Company Etsy shop and purchase something, because it's amazing. It is amazing to spin. The finished product is amazing to feel, because there's so many different fibers, and it's just delightful. You get these really beautiful, like, nuanced colors because of how she puts together her art bats. They're amazing. And I cannot wait to make something with this and the white birch. I can't wait. And then I still have my 2 ongoing works in progress for spinning. My zebra wood Turkish spindle black alpaca spin has not gone anywhere because I've exhausted my capability to spin up on the wheel. I come downstairs and I'm not touching the spindle at that point. And I'm still working on those mystery fleeces. I have scoured them all completely, and I'm in the process of throwing them on the drum carder and spinning them up. I probably will not show those again until I have finished them. Just because it's undyed mystery wool, and it's pretty boring to show you what would look like the same skein of wool every episode. So that's that. I have no updates for sewing stuff. The Hawkeye quilt and the Star Wars Arabesh sampler have had no progress. Everything has been spinning and crocheting. So we'll go right on to new stuff. I did a couple of swaps recently. I took part in the Christmas in July swap hosted by Melissa of the Spicy Homemaker podcast. Hi Melissa, thank you for putting together this swap. And my partner in the swap was Mary of the Yarnaceuticals podcast. So let me scoot this box over here. motorcycle. So the point of this swap was to do a heartfelt card and an ornament and a couple of mini skeins and some tea and whatever other goodies we agreed upon. So she wrote me a very nice card, and she sent me some tea, and she crocheted me a little amigurumi ornament, and it's Yoda. It's a little Yoda. Oh, this ear's a little wonky right now. I love it. And then she sent me a couple of minis, and she sent me a Lego Star Wars Mad Libs. That's what I'm all about. Lego Star Wars ridiculousness. Oh my god. Fun. So thank you, Mary. I love my things. It was a super fun swap. So let me get those out of the way. And then I did a mini skein swap. Swamp? Thanks, Yoda. Swap. Mini skein swap with Nancy, who is, I don't know how to pronounce her username. My brain reads it as La Jolla Girl, but I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It'll be in the show notes. But we decided to do a mini skein swap, and she sent me some Texas postcards and some goodies and some tea and these little yarn nuggets. They're little nuggets. Labeled with the colorways and the type of yarn, not the type of yarn. Like, it doesn't say MCN or anything, but like the colorway and the dyer or manufacturer, whoever. So a bunch of yarn nuggets, which are so exciting. I love that they're little nuggets. And she sent me this ridiculous tote bag. I'm guessing H-E-B is a grocery store chain. I can't... The size of this tote bag is huge. It doesn't look that big on the camera, but it is 1.5 times the size of the grocery store tote bags that you buy here in Connecticut. It's a huge tote bag. It's got citrus fruits on it, which is appropriate as I am a freakish lemon. It's ginormous. I could fit my dog in this bag. I could. She wouldn't be very happy with me, but I could fit my dog in this bag, which is very exciting and may be accompanying me to Yarny events. Especially events where I tend to buy fiber. So probably definitely New England Fiber Festival, because I bought all fiber at New England Fiber Festival last year. And fiber takes up a lot of space. But thank you, Nancy. This was super exciting to get in the mail today. Day I'm filming this. And then I also put in a knit picks order. I said I wasn't going to buy yarn, but I did. Oh, I also bought, Red Heart Super Saver for this blanket, but that's not as exciting as other things. But I did put in a nitpicks order, mostly for these. I have 2 of the black, but it's just nitpick stroll fingering. These 2 are for heels, toes, cuffs, whatever. Particularly the gray for my Star Wars socks. While I'm not unhappy with the Fish Lips Kiss heels on my R2-D2 socks with the R2-D2 yarn, they don't thrill me. I think gray heels in the socks, because most of them have a gray in them, will really make those socks for me. And then, of course, you need a good purple for your heels, toes, and cuffs. And I bought 2 of the black for the Cozy Memories blanket to do the crochet finishing on there. Because I wanted a good black yarn that I know I can get more of, and it will match more or less. Should I need more of it? Because I don't know at this point, but I didn't want to leave all the ends out forever. So, got those, but then of course it's nitpicks, so you have to buy more stuff in order to get the free shipping. So I picked up a set of US 0 32-inch circulars for Magic Loop socks. I picked up a US 4 and a US 3 16-inch fixed circular needle because I have worsted weight handspun that I'm plan on making hats out of, and these are typically the needle sizes I use for worsted weight yarns. And just a row counter, some stitch markers, and some sock blockers, because you can never have enough sock blockers. Yep. But that's not awful for new stuff. I have made more purchases. Oh, I didn't show you the other stuff I got in for bat making. I got some silk noil and some, I think the copper flash and the silver Angelina came in an order together. And what was it? It was the mill ends, the silk thrums, but I mean, it's mill ends and silk thrums. I talked about them last time. If you really would like to see them, let me know and I will include them in the next episode, but I do have more stuff coming. But that wasn't a bad haul. 2 of them were swaps, so that's okay. So we'll move on to other stuff. Stuff I'm watching. I watched a little bit more Clone Wars in a rewatch, but I'm not plowing through it. It's just if I need a break and I need some clones in my life, I'll watch a couple episodes of Clone Wars. Mostly I've been doing podcast catch-up. I am caught up almost to the end of June for the podcasts that I absolutely need to watch. Slowly but surely. But I haven't really been watching anything else. Stuff I am reading, which I'm tracking on Goodreads if you want to follow me there. I finished my Jedi Apprentice series reread. So let me show you the delightful covers of these children's books, because they're the best. So I finished The Threat Within. I finished The Only Witness. I finished The Call to Vengeance, the angriest Qui-Gon Jinn ever. God, I love it. The Death of Hope. And then the special editions Deceptions. Look at them. I love it. I forgot how much bigger these books were because they get split in half. Where's the page? So this half of the book is Qui-Gon and Padawan Obi-Wan. And this half of the book is Obi-Wan and Padawan Anakin. Solving the same mystery. And then, Special Edition 2, The Followers. So now I've started rereading the Jedi Quest series, which is same premise, but with 14-year-old Anakin Skywalker with Master Obi-Wan. So I've finished The Trail of the Jedi, which is book 1, and I'm on The Way of the Apprentice. Look at that unfortunate boy. Awkward 14-year-old manipulation of Jake Lloyd and Hayden Christensen. So awkward. Oh boy, I'm so excited. I've also made another book purchase. Because remember I bought... Oh, you can't see them. I forget that you can't see them. The entirety of The Last of the Jedi series. Well, I realized that I have another incomplete children's book series for Star Wars. These are original trilogy era books. They are the Star Wars Answer to Goosebumps. These are the Star Wars Galaxy of Fear books, which are truly frightening. And the only reason I read them was because they were Star Wars. I like them. I'm hoping they won't freak me out as much this time around. But I might have some unfortunate dreams because I'm going to reread those too, because I bought all the books that I was missing for those. There's, I think, 12 of them. It's a delight. Anyway. So, I finished The Path of Destruction of the Darth Bane series by Drew Karpyshyn, an audiobook narrated by Jonathan Davis. I finished The Rule of Two, which is a Darth Bane book by Drew Karpyshyn, an audiobook narrated by Jonathan Davis. I forgot to update this, but I started the third one, which is on my phone. Let me see. Dynasty of Evil, which is a Darth Bane book by Drew Karpyshyn, which is an audiobook narrated by Jonathan Davis. I've also re-listened to about 80% of Red Harvest, which is the Sith Zombies, which is by Dro Schreiber and narrated by John Glover, and about 80% of Star Wars Maul Lockdown, which is also by Dro Schreiber and is narrated by Jonathan Davis. Because I was Sith and spinning so much that I was in danger of using up all my Audible credits before the renew time. I don't know why Sith audiobooks are apparently so motivating that I just have to spin everything under the sun, but I am really enjoying Sith and Spin, guys. I really hope you join me for Sith and Spin, because it's delightful. And then stuff I'm playing, I've just been playing a little bit of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic and crocheting along with it. I finished Dantooine, and from Dantooine you get a star map. Spoilers for anybody who cares about a game that's over a decade old. After Dantooine you get a map with 4 other planets you have to go to, but you get to choose where you're going to go, and you have to travel back and forth between them for some of the missions and things. So I've been to Kashyyyk, and I have completed all of the missions there with the Wookiees. So I've shuttled the Ebon Hawk over to... I think I shuttled it over to Tatooine, but I have not yet left the ship. So that's where I am with that game. It's a delight. I do love it. I do love it. But I think that's all I have. I think I've talked about all the things that I was meaning to talk about. So I guess this is the end of the podcast. Show notes and links and all that stuff can be found over at freakishlemon.com for this episode and all previous episodes. Come join the Freakish Lemon video podcast group on Ravelry, which I always forget to talk about in the beginning of the podcast. But if you go to the groups tab and you search Freakish Lemon, we are there. Come join us. Come post in Sith-ing. Come ask questions in the questions and suggestions thread. I'm not so great at fostering community things, but I know some of you are, so come join us. We're a small group, but please. I don't know where I was going with that. You can follow me as Freakish Lemon on all the fun at all the fun places such as Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and Ravelry. Follow my Tumblr if you're into this whole everything is Star Wars thing. And also if you want to see snippets of apparently fanfic that I'm writing. That's the place to do it. Check out what's left in my shop over at freakishlemon.etsy.com. Still don't know what I'm doing with that, but that's okay. There's stitch markers and notebooks and things up there, so if any of that interests you, please feel free to peruse. And all the links to all the places will be in the down bar here on YouTube and around somewhere if you're watching this somewhere else. I think we're gonna call it a day with that. My laptop's gonna die in a minute. So that's it. I will see you in a couple of weeks. Goodbye.